Good morning and welcome to the Virtual Village Hall. Thank you for joining me for today's session. I'm Rachel from I Printed That, and I'm a print artist based in the southeast of England. Now, one of the things I do, apart from making prints myself, is to teach workshops. I teach adults and children different printmaking techniques. And one printmaking technique that I've been focusing on this summer holiday with teenagers, children, but don't be put off by the title. It's not just for children. This is also for adults, big kids, anyone that if you love crafting. One printmaking technique that I have been teaching is jelly printing. Have you ever heard of jelly printing? So we might think of jelly on a plate. This one is actually spelt slightly different. It's Gelli, so jelly. And we use jelly. This is called a jelly plate here. Jelly plate, gel plate. It's almost like you've put too much gelatine in jelly. You can see it's nice and flexible. It's rubbery, but it's not the sort of thing that you'd want to eat. Although, as also, these don't actually contain any animal products. Now, if you don't have your own gel plate, if you want to invest in one, they cost between sort of £20 and £40, which is a little bit of an outlay. But if you look after them, then you can keep them for a long, long time. And I can think of about 5 different printmaking techniques just off the top of my head that you can use these for. So definitely worth the investment. If you didn't want to invest the money, then you can make them yourself. And I've put a link to my blog where it shows you a tutorial of how to make the gel plates. They do actually use gelatine though, so an animal-based product. They use gelatine to make them. The tutorial blog is listed in the show notes. There's a link that you can go through and make your own if you didn't want to buy one. So maybe give it a go, and then if you really like it, you can invest in one. So that's what a gel or jelly plate is. So how do we use it? Well, today I'm going to show you a printmaking technique called collagraph. So collagraph is just basically a piece of card or any sort of substrate, and then we've got raised, you can see these letters are raised, and that's going to make an imprint and make a print. So normally with a collagraph as well, this would be back to front because it's a transfer print, but because the collagraph goes onto the gel plate and then we take the print from the gel plate, it's kind of magically goes back to front and then the right way round. So unlike most collagraphs and lots of transfer printmaking techniques, you don't have to think backwards. You can just do it all the right way round, which also makes it easier for children too. If you are entertaining children during the summer holiday and you're coming to the end of the summer holidays thinking, what can we do this weekend? We've run out of ideas. Hopefully this might give you an idea to do. So what I'm going to do, I will pop you down and we'll get started. Okay, so let's just go over a few things that we need. Before we use our gel plate, we are going to need some cardboard. So I've just got some old packaging. I've got some cardboard envelopes that came through the post. That's the sort of thing you need. You can also use some quite nice, if you want to sort of get a bit of texture, you can use some corrugated card because we can rip this and use this. I'm just going to show you a really simple text one today. And then if you want to, you can go off, have a little play with various maybe animals with more texture here, with ripping the paper, scrunching it, cutting into it, just scratching into it with like a craft knife or an awl, just to give you a little bit more of interest. But let's start nice and simple, shall we, with some straightforward text. So on a piece, so you'll need a piece of paper and your pencil to do your design. And just make sure your design is no bigger than the piece of card you're going to use as your base. So I'm just going to go with LOVE. There we go, love. Then we can cut our base out. There we go, so that's a good fit. And then we want to put our design onto card, just cut out to form our collagraph. So what you could do is you turn this over and then just go over the back. Start transferring. Obviously, if it's something as simple as this, then you could draw it straight onto the card. But I'm just going to, I wanted to show you this so that if it's a more complicated design and maybe you've got various elements that you want to layer up, then this is one way to do it. Right. Okay, so it's backwards, but when we cut it out, we're going to use the other side, so it's not going to be backwards. If you're just drawing straight onto the cardboard, then do it the correct way round as you read it. Okay, so we've got our letters cut out and we've also got our base plate. Let's trim that up. I could make my base plate a shape as well if I wanted to. And then I just got some PVA glue. Or you could use a Pritt stick. My PVA does seem to stick a lot better. And I'll make sure it's stuck down really well. And then you're just going to need to leave that to dry. And in the meantime, you can make up some backgrounds. You can print either just onto white paper, but it's quite nice to add a bit of a background. So I'm just using, this is just printer paper, so nothing special. And I'm going to grab my gel plate. And just to the side of me here, I've got some paints. So these are just acrylic paints. Acrylic paints I do find work best for this. And you don't need a lot of paint. You can always add more if you need it. And I'm just using a roller to roll the paint. Let's just pop a little bit more pink. I'm just rolling the paint over the gel plate. Paint over the plate. Okay. And just to take some of the paint off, because I don't want that spreading too much onto the yellow, I'm just using a scrappy piece of paper. Just to blend that. Blend that slightly more. There we go. And you do find your kind of the blotting paper always looks really nice too. In fact, I was on a course learning how to do some other techniques, and one of the people on the course, she actually said that she had framed her blotting paper and sold it for about 60 quid. So they can look really nice, and the colours that you're using can really make a nice abstract piece. Okay, so sorry, I should explain. So I've just put my paper on top, just quite lightly, just made sure that contact's made with the paper and the gel plate, and then I'm just going to pull it off to reveal the background. There we are. So I'm going to do a few of those. You should find that all the paint comes off of the gel plate, and it's quite nice actually if there's a couple of bits left on, like there's a bit of pink there. I quite like picking it up onto the next print. But if you do want a totally clean print, then all you need to do, I just use a quick spray from a water spray, just with water, and then just take a sponge, just take off any excess paint, and then just dry it again with like an art rag. So I'm going to do another background. And you don't have to use the whole gel plate either. You know, you could just do an area. And as I said, this isn't the only technique for doing jelly printing. There's lots of techniques, and just really experiment. Just part of this I really enjoy with gel printing and sort of teaching it is that you can just relax into it and just play. The prints don't take much time at all, so it's not like you've lost a lot of time if you do one that's not quite how you wanted it to be. And I always say never throw anything away, because you never know, you can always use it for a background. You can reprint over it. You could use it for collage or scrapbooking or in journals. So we've got another background, and I might just do one more. And you'll notice that I'm keeping my backgrounds quite light, and there's a good reason for that, because I've lost my roller. There's a good reason for that, because when we print the collagraph, we want the collagraph to stand out. We're actually going to print the collagraph in the black acrylic. So this one I'm just doing a yellow. I've still got a little bit of the pink on. I've left a little bit of texture as well, so I've not got it a really flat surface. Again, just using my hands to make contact with the paper and the gel plate, and then taking it off. Okay, if you spend too long and the paint dries, when you put the paper on, it can get stuck. So just a little tip if you're finding that's happening. One, try and work quicker, but if it does happen, then what you need to do, so just imagine that that's all inked up. So if rather than pulling the paper from the gel plate, if you turn it over and pull the gel plate off the paper, then that does tend to work. That does help stop the paper from ripping. So just a little tip if you're finding that's happening, it's because the paint is drying out too much and it's sticking onto the paper. Okay, so that's our background's done. So let's see how dry this is. Because if it's not dry enough, they will actually stick to the gel plate. So that might actually be okay. I tell you what, I will just leave that one, but I will show you with another one how that works. So just in case that sticks, so they do need to, but that's not actually too bad. So they don't take too long to dry, but it means that while they're drying, you could either, if you've got children who are a little bit impatient, then you could do another couple of these while that's drying. Then you can do your backgrounds. So by the time you've done a couple of these plus your backgrounds, that first one should be dry, and then you can use it to print. So again, just acrylic paint. So this is a darker one. And I want it darker so that it's going to show up on my backgrounds. So I'll show you one first of all where we do the entire gel plate, and then I'll do it just a little bit. It's quite warm here today as well, so this is going to dry a bit quicker, so I'm going to put just a little bit more on, a bit more than I probably normally would. Okay, and then so I take my collagraphs. I just can put it anywhere I want. I could do more than one if I wanted to. I might just show you that. And you just want to make contact again, and you can probably see that that's what's happened is the raised parts have lifted the paint. And because I did this on a corrugated piece, some of that corrugated texture has come up as well. So let's just do it on two. And then I've got my backgrounds, apply that down, rub over with my hands, making contact with the paint and the gel plate, and hopefully that should print the imprint that the collagraph made. There we go. So there is our collagraph. So I'll show you now if you just want to ink up a little bit. It might actually just be worth. Let's just see if I can take some of the black off, because I don't really want that in my final piece. So I didn't actually get my spray bottle. So what I could do to get all this off, as I was saying earlier on, is just use a spray bottle and a sponge. So for this one, I'm just inking up a small piece using, so let's use a different one, shall we? So I've got some other ones made up here. I've got some animals, which are quite nice. I've got some hearts. Let's use the heart on this one. If you wanted to, you could actually clean up around here. So just take maybe a cotton bud, some tissue, or just a paint. You can add a bit of texture as well if you want to. I'll show you with that. I mean, there really are so many techniques. I mean, I run a whole day workshop learning all the different techniques. So I could be with you all day if you wanted, just learning different gel printing techniques. There we go. So there's another collagraph. That's a heart one, just inking up a small area. That might have actually been quite nice if I would have cleaned all that bit up. And then just our last one. And do remember, if you haven't got time to do this now, as you're watching this either live or on replay, then you can save this video. Just find the 3 dots. I think they're normally kind of 3 dots in a line, and they're either in the bottom right hand corner or maybe the top right hand corner, depending on what you're watching this on. So find the 3 dots, go to save, and then you can watch this later. Don't forget, you can also share this. So if you've got any friends with children who might just need a couple more activities to do this summer holiday, share it with your friends or share it to any craft groups that you belong to. Yeah, we've gone for a giraffe. I didn't press that down quite enough. I'm just going to cheat. Let's take a bit of that out, the paint off. And you may have noticed recently that we are spotlighting some of our virtual villagers. If you do any crafts, then please do post your comments onto the video that you've done the craft for, and we've got a special series where we're spotlighting various crafts that our virtual villagers have done. So you could have your own post on the virtual village board. So if you do try out gel printing, this form of gel printing, which is a collagraph using cardboard that I've just collected from the recycling bin, then please do share your photos. It's just a couple more that I've done today. Please do share your photos. We'd always love to see them. We love to hear from you in the virtual village hall, how you're taking action, what you've enjoyed, crafts that you've enjoyed doing with us, and we'd love to highlight your photos, give you a shout out. So what do you think? Do you think that jelly printing might be for you? Well, please do let me know in the comments. And if you've got any questions from today's session, then I will look after the videos being posted on the Virtual Village Hall page, and I will answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for joining me for today's printmaking session. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.